It's hard to agree on a story when there is a mass murder in America that involves gun violence. Like the subsequent details are used to apportion blame and generate energy for particular strands of stories. Usually the race and background of the perpetrator. But this, I suppose, is unique, this recent spate of horrific killings, because it's being used to highlight the rhetoric of Donald Trump, who is widely regarded as divisive and spoken of in a lot of media circles uh, as racist. Did you see him comment on it? He said, my rhetoric isn't divisive. They love my rhetoric. I liked it that he still used rhetoric to describe his own. That's my rhetoric. I wonder what it does when there is overt uh, racist or divisive language. But I wonder how different the statistics are for gun violence under Trump as compared to previous administrations. Being 40 odd, I remember when George W. Bush was president that there was a comparable kind of loathing. This is more exaggerated because Bush is from a political family and there's a sense of that he's entitled to be president. Donald Trump's presidency has definitely bifurcated left and right wing media narratives. The challenges for people, I suppose, like me, and you like me as well, is that I feel that the entire political discourse, whether you're on the right side of it or left side of it, is very, very rigid and narrow. So when I think about something like gun violence, of course, mental health is a consideration, but gosh, mental health is a spectrum, isn't it? Who among us, well, 1 in 4 of us will suffer from mental health issues at some point. I know I include myself in that demographic. But I feel emotions is something that none of us are excluded from. What is violence? It's, I suppose, a willingness to trespass against social norms. Is violence in all manner of aspects of social life or military life, or all kinds of violations against different people, soft violence, hard violence, or if a scratch in this gnat bite, but this type of violence for me feels like a kind of to quote dear Marianne Williamson, like that dark forces are emerging and being expressed. I think sometimes when a lone shooter or lone maniac commits a crime, how different I would be if I had different parents, how different would you be if you had different relationships? The idea of the individual is a curious one, an individual responsibility, an individual valour, and individual achievement, when all of us are tied to one another by thousands and thousands of threads through relationship and requirement and need of one another. Have you heard recent scientific neurological research into the nature of decision making? The idea that we may not be as autonomous as we think, that decisions or choices may be made almost not from the perspective, from the sort of inner subjective place that we had always thought, that somehow we are being led by forces within our own mind, forces external to our own behaviour. Obviously, I'm not trying to reduce the culpability of individuals. That's not really something I'm interested in. I'm curious as to why certain societies have more violence in them. The obvious argument is that societies with more guns have better utensils to exact violence with. But really, all things, expression of emotion, all behaviour, all culture passing through the consciousness of human beings. What's happening when there are so many people so enraged? These vivid, lurid and explosive examples of human character are identifiable spectacles that we can say, fuck man, things have gone really, really wrong. But they are merely the harbingers of far subtler and more continual negative interactions, meaning that extreme violence is merely an amplification of the ongoing violence that exists between all of us when we live in societies that are built upon attitudes and emotional states that are not sustainable and not beneficial, and certainly not holy, certainly not beautiful. I wonder if it has an impact, a president like Donald Trump. All I know is as long as I've been alive, there have been violent massacres in that country. And I feel that unless there are some pretty fundamental changes in the way that we talk about one another and to one another, and evidently regulation around weaponry, we'll see more and more of these kind of terrible, violent, I don't know really what to call them, sort of outbreaks, aren't they? Imagine if we are all one mind. Imagine if we are all one unit, all one organism. I thought it a long time ago. I just think, we create the character of the monster, but we know that there's darkness in all of us. We know we all have terrible capacities. We know that we all have these capabilities within us. And again, that's not to mitigate the extreme actions of violent people, but it's, in fact, instead an attempt to try to understand how we keep perpetuating these cycles. And I suppose one way to alter it is to extract yourself entirely from all hate, extract yourself from negativity, to try to observe the way you think about people and the way that you talk about people, to create a different kind of climate for all of us to live in. Hello, I'm doing these new videos more frequently now. Please hit the notification button at the end of this video, because then you'll get a little bell when I post a new video, and I'd like you to get a little bell when I post a video. Then I can, I don't know, be buzzing away in your pocket. Sounds like I'd be like a little pocket mosquito. Anyway, subscribe, click the bell, because I want more people to watch the YouTube videos. You specifically.